Chinese and Russians are preparing to carry out an all-out invasion of the United States. People laughed at me when I first published the intentions of the Russians and the Chinese to attack the United States from all sides, as this was in 2014. In 2020, when I again raised the possibility, some people howled. Today, we sit on the edge of this happening. Steve Quayle once told me that he was seeing unprecedented military movement in Montana. Today, scarcely a day goes by that I do not get a reported sighting of either Chinese or Russian troops on U.S. soil. These sightings are common on national forest grounds. In fact, what we are seeing is the mobilization for war. Russia and China are preparing to invade the United States, and they have been for some time. By the way, every expert I speak with says that hacking into our nuclear facilities is an overt ACT and a prelude to war. In 2016, I first wrote that I believed that we would be attacked when our nation was embroiled in a violent internal dispute when the attack comes. The violent struggle has arrived, and it is called BLM, Antifa, and anything George Soros touches. At that time, I identified 7 phases, or prongs of attack that were coming based upon US wargaming that I was told about. Plans change, and in today's world, the attack parameters have been expanded to 9 phases of subjugation culminating in genocide. As the domestic struggle worsens, at some point, the United Nations will invoke the Kigali Principles and be in charge of the invading force. In other words, it is likely that Chinese and Russian forces will be wearing blue helmets at the time of the invasion of America. And as I've written about over the past several years, previous Russian defectors have warned of this possibility. The attack, when these forces attack the United States, the attack will come as the result of a 9-pronged strategy, and it will involve multiple allies under the direction of the United Nations. What I have learned is that the Naval War College has practiced each one of these scenarios multiple times since I first reported on these scenarios. In every case, America becomes America. In other words, surrender is the only option in order to avoid complete annihilation. Here are the 7 different fronts from which Russia and her allies will launch an all-out attack, which will make use of limited cyber attacks upon the grid. Steve Quayle recently told me that he is seeing unprecedented military movement in Montana. Many are reporting the same all around the country. What we are seeing is the mobilization for war. Russia and China are preparing to invade the United States. It is my belief that we will be embroiled in a violent internal dispute when the attack comes. The United Nations will invoke the Kigali Principles and be in charge of the invading force. Since I first reported on leaked information that American military leaders were expecting an attack from 7 different sources, more information has come to light. First, elements of the following scenarios have been repetitively practiced at the Naval War College. In each instance, America loses badly. See the Deagle report, which tells us that in just over 4 years, most Americans will be dead. Here is an update on newly acquired information which has added to our understanding of what is coming, and our military leaders know it, as many of them provided information to me with regard to a combination Russian and Chinese attack upon our country. And as I've written about over the past several years, previous Russian defectors have warned of this possibility. Phase 1. A 5th column attack facilitated by the deep state and the Democrats. A 5th column attack is already underway in America. It is largely comprised of Antifa and BLM. However, these groups, along with the level of their attacks, pales as what is coming to America. What is coming is an all-out 5th column attack, and it will be carried out by terrorists who have already gained entrance into the United States. Key assassinations and critical infrastructure sabotage will be carried out by these forces. Random acts of violence will be perpetrated upon the American people, including the slaughter of innocent Americans. The attack upon schools and malls will be common. I have often referred to this as the coming Tet Offensive, in which all the embedded terrorists will simultaneously attack America in dozens of locations. Phase 2. The Alaskan Front. The Alaskan Front will see the Russians attacking the lower 48 from Alaska after our most northern state is quickly overwhelmed. This will likely be preceded by an attack upon Taiwan, in which American forces will drawn away from America to defend Taiwan, thus weakening the home defense. 2 years ago, the Chinese, Russians and Mongolians practiced the invasion of Alaska. Phase 3. The Cascadian invasion. In close proximity to the invasion of Alaska, massive amounts of Chinese troops will pour across the Canadian border and consume the west coast. Embedded Chinese, already in America, thanks to the Chinese control of the port system, will seize key assets, similar to what Army Ranger paratroopers do prior to an advance. Over the past 3 weeks, I have covered CANZ UK and the amassing of Chinese troops in Vancouver, British Columbia. As previously covered on the CSS, America is being separated from its allies and we will stand alone against what is underway and what is coming. When these CHICOM troops cross the border, they will fan out and invade Idaho, Montana and seize the oil fields of Wyoming. Taking prisoners is not part of the plan. Phase 4, Red Dawn. The Central American Front will witness a conglomeration of 30 Central and South American states, IECELAC, which will combine military strike forces, backed by Russian military supplies, weapons, technology and strategy. These forces will push north through Central America and will attack America from the south. Presently, El Salvador, Colombia and Brazil are the only American allies left. Trump has strategically diminished the potential success of such an invasion. However, this will still tie up American resources which will deplete military resources elsewhere. Remember, the ability for the United States to fight a prolonged campaign was greatly diminished because of the economic devastation caused by the planned COVID lockdowns and the economic devastation that followed. Phase 5, the Southeastern Invasion. The Southeastern Front will witness an amphibious invasion following the successes of the first of 3 fronts in which major American military assets will be deployed away from the southeast to defend against the scissors attack from America's northwest and the southwest. The invasion will come out of Cuba. Many thousands of Chinese forces have deployed in Cuba via Mexico. The Russian Navy and Air Force will supply support. Phase 6, Calixit and other paramilitary assets located in California in a secondary and delayed attack. Calixit-backed Chinese forces embedded in American ports, e.g. Long Beach, who have entered the country in cargo ships, will be unleashed to attack key military bases in California. At the same time, Chinese soldiers, who are embedded in the Sierra Madres, will join forces with the Latin American forces as they sweep northward through Mexico and will dramatically burst through the border and then fan out to the north, west and east. Phase 7, Russian attack from the Arctic. Russian forces will come out of the Arctic and sweep down through Canada and will attack the US through Minnesota. This will allow the Russian-led forces to cut the United States in half at the Mississippi River. The amphibious landings in the southeast will make their way north on the Mississippi River with naval vessels. These forces will link up with the Russians coming in from the north. I am already getting reports of sightings of heavily armed Chinese on the lakes and tributaries in Minnesota. Phase 8, turning out the lights and starving the northeast. UN-controlled Chinese and Russian forces would prefer to not have to enter major American forces in the northeast. Urban conflict is the most expensive in terms of men and material. Subsequently, this region can effectively expect chemical weapons to be unleashed on the northeast. These weapons can be completely deadly and then the effects will fade over time, thus allowing for occupation. Some analysts expect parts of the military in this region to defect and join forces with the enemy. Also, another popular option consists of the use of neutron weapons which will kill people, but leave the infrastructure intact. Phase 9, surrender and subsequent genocide. The Americans in this region will be allowed to surrender. However, they will quickly be transported to FEMA camps and makeshift FEMA camps. The last 3 Chinese defense ministers have advocated for the complete extermination of all people in North America, prior to colonization. Trudeau and his traitors might be well advised to pay attention because this involves the elimination of people in the newly formed state of Kazakhstan. Yes, these will be the camps that I have frequently spoke about. All the brown shirt traitors, e.g. Biden, Harris, Pelosi, Feinstein et al., will be executed by the Chinese as they hate dishonorable traitors. Conclusion: Trump knows. Why do you think our troops from Afghanistan are being recalled and repositioned for the coming conflict? I hope you are armed and prepped and know how to hide. With the hacking our nuclear facilities and the amassing of CHICOM troops on the Canadian border, perhaps people will stop laughing and starting preparing.